Bueno, colegas, muy buenas tardes. Bienvenidos a este Jueves Minero con un tema muy especial. Y yo solo quiero presentarles para los que no lo conocen, pero veo ya que varios lo conocen, a nuestro nuevo gerente, Roberto Martínez, quien va a ser en esta ocasión de moderador. Así que bienvenidos, colegas, muchas gracias por asistir.
Gracias, María Isabel. Oficialmente, buenas tardes a todos los que nos acompañan en este Jueves Minero. Hoy día tenemos una sesión eminentemente técnica, a diferencia de algunas que hemos venido teniendo las últimas semanas. ¿Ya? Una especial solicitud que nos hicieron a través de la Cámara Chileno-Alemana para poder colaborar con unas presentaciones técnicas del grupo RWE. Por lo tanto, nos acompaña hoy día el ingeniero Arie-Johann Heiertz, supongo que se podrá pronunciar así. Y al lado tenemos también otro colega, don Philip. Yo espero que él les diga cómo se pronuncia su apellido, porque es realmente ininteligible para nosotros. Él va a hacer una presentación en español para todos nosotros de Ari, su expertise y el tema el que nos convoca. Y posteriormente Ari nos va a entregar la presentación relacionada con el tema de las emisiones de polvo en manejo material. Como algunos ya, o todos deben haberse dado cuenta de la invitación, esta presentación va a ser en inglés. Yo le pedí especialmente a Ari que nos hable en un inglés lo más fuerte y claro y no muy rápido, pero por lo que yo estuve conversando un poco con él, si yo lo entendí, con mayor razón ustedes lo podrán entender. ¿Ya? Así es que, en todo caso, cualquier consulta o duda la pueden hacer en cualquier no hay de acuerdo a lo que dice el manual de uso del Zoom, y le haremos la pregunta respectiva. Philip habla español, algo de español, también me acompaña Denise Kirchner, que de Camchal, que ella también habla español, y hay una voluntaria que es Patti Soto, que también nos ofreció ayuda en caso de que tengamos algún trasteo con el idioma. Así que sin más preámbulo, Philip, por favor.
Sí, gracias. Buenos días a todos. Bienvenido y muchas gracias al Instituto de Ingenieros de Minas de Chile por la invitación y la oportunidad de presentar el tema Inspecciones a distancia para optimizar las emisiones de polvo en tiempos de COVID-19. Me llamo Philip, trabajo en RWE, que es uno de los líderes en la producción de energía en Europa, y entre otras cosas también operamos nuestras propias minas con extracción continua o transporte continua, y apoyamos a clientes de todo el mundo en sus operaciones mineras. Y con esta experiencia de más de 60 años, ayudamos a los clientes de todo el mundo proporcionando servicios de consultoría que van desde un primer estudio de viabilidad, pasando por la implementación, hasta la operación y mantenimiento y, por ejemplo, la formación de los empleados, o, ya en pocas palabras, servicios entre todo el ciclo de vida del proyecto. Y la mayoría de estas actividades requieren que estemos presentes en las minas de los clientes, pero lamentablemente viajar en estos tiempos es mucho más difícil y a veces casi imposible, dado que los países ponen restricciones y las fronteras siguen cerradas, como por ejemplo en Chile ahora. Sin embargo, las operaciones mineras continúan y los problemas deben resolverse sin que se vislumbre el fin de las restricciones. Y por lo tanto, RWE está investigando la posibilidad de realizar auditorías a distancia y intentamos transformar nuestra experiencia buena probada con las nuevas formas de trabajo disponibles hoy en día, en el mismo tiempo manteniendo la máxima calidad para nuestros clientes y sus operaciones. Y en esta presentación queremos exponer las experiencias que ya hemos realizado con las auditorías a distancia en Sudamérica y explorar las posibilidades y las restricciones de este método. Y esto lo haremos con el ejemplo de las auditorías de control de las emisiones de polvo ya realizado por nosotros en Sudamérica, mostrando los principales medios utilizados por RWE para evitar el polvo y cuáles de ellos podrían aplicarse a la distancia. Y el tema será presentado en inglés por Arie-Johann Heiertz, que es nuestro jefe de minería y manipulación de materiales. Y al final de la presentación tendremos tiempo para sus preguntas, pero por supuesto también quedaremos atentos a cualquier consulta que tengan atrasada, así que por favor no duden en ponerse en contacto con nosotros. Y sin más preámbulos, Ari, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Philip, for the introduction. And it's a great pleasure from my side to present today about the topic remote audits to optimize dust emission control measures on belt conveyors in times of COVID-19. So hopefully you can see my screen now. We just tested that beforehand, and I think that's okay that you can see everything. I will speak in English today. If there's something unclear in between, you have any questions, please ask me. I mean, we have Philip, as you just saw, he speaks nearly perfect Spanish, I guess, so he can hopefully translate as well if there's something unclear. Yeah, what's my agenda for today? First of all, I would like to give you an introduction about RWE Technology International, who we are, where we come from. I mean, we're a company quite with a strong presence in Chile, especially in Santiago as well. Then I will give you some introduction slides about effective emission control on conveyor belts. What are we doing actually on conveyor belts to make them more environmental friendly? What did we do in the past in the German operations here as well? And then we will come on this special focus emission control, a remote inspection in times of COVID-19. In this special time now, with this global pandemic we have currently, we had to find ways to reach the clients, and that was the reason why we were working with this remote inspection tools actually. And I will give you some insight there, and later on I will close this presentation with a short summary about all the topics here. Yeah, starting with first chapter, maybe quite interesting. I choose this background here that gives you a very, very nice overview about one of the largest operations of RWE. And RWE is a quite big company. We have about 30,000 employees worldwide. We are an energy company actually, but we are also mine operators. For example, for myself, I'm a mining engineer. I have a master degree in mining from Aachen University in Germany. And this is where I actually started my career in the mining industry. I started in the mines, and I thought this picture actually is pretty good matching with the topic today. And what you can see here, you can see one of the largest mines worldwide with an annual coal production of 40 million tons of coal and an overburden movement of 250 million bench cubic meters. So it's a very, very huge operation here. But that's a huge operation, a very dense populated area. So when you know Germany, Germany is a quite small country, but we have 82 million inhabitants living in the country. So everything is very, very dense populated, and we have to mine this or operate these operations here in this very dense populated area. And this just works when you do it in a very, very environmental friendly way. Environmentally friendly regarding dust emissions, regarding noise emissions. And so I will let you know a little bit more about that, but I thought that's a quite good introduction slide to talk about that topic here. What you can also see on the picture here, this mine is fully continuous. You don't see any large trucks, you don't see big shovels here. What you see is excavators and spreaders on the other side, and they are here connected by big conveyor belts for the complete haulage of the complete material. But coming back to the company RWE TI, who we are, as I said, we are an energy company. We have several operating business. We are very, very active in the renewable business, also in Chile. We have a Chilean office based in Santiago, doing a lot of investment in renewable projects in the country. We have a European power business with hydro and biomass. We have still lignite nuclear business with mining and conventional power. By the way, we are the biggest mine operator in Europe, operating these large surface mines. So we have decades of experience in that. And we have a trading business, of course. And what you see here, this orange bar, RWTI, that's RWE Technology International. That's the global consulting arm of the company who's bundling all the knowledge of the complete RWE group for international projects. For example, mostly external clients, but also internal clients like the RWE group itself, who is served by RWTI. In the mining business, it's to 99% just external clients. We're serving since 1965 already. Mostly the major miners in the market serve with our services, actually. Yeah, when you see this, where do we come from? Maybe some of you know Germany, the western parts of Germany. We are in this triangle here, the city of Cologne, the city of Mönchengladbach, and the city of Aachen. This is what we call the Golden Triangle, where we are operating 3 large surface mines with a total production capacity of 100 million tons of coal here. And as I said, these are fully continuous surface mines here. So you can see it here from the picture. That's one of the big conveyor belt junction points, each conveyor with a capacity of 38,000 tons per hour, where all the conveyor belts come together and where we have a kind of logistic distribution center for a high flexibility of the material. So all the material in this mine operation is actually moved by this conveyor belts. And when you just see one mine operation here, the Hambach mine, one of the biggest mine operations, just one mine has about 130 kilometers of conveyor belts. Of course, we also have a big maintenance center here. The maintenance center, it's a mechanical maintenance center, which is responsible for the complete maintenance. In this maintenance center, we are also producing products for the Chilean market. Big ultra strong drive pulleys, which are manufactured there, wear protection systems. We have several clients in the Chilean market who are served by RWE with RWE mining knowledge or consulting knowledge, but also with RWE equipment, where the equipment then is manufactured here in this big maintenance center as well. Yeah, what are we doing at the consulting firm? You can see that here from offsite to onsite. We're mostly starting with our clients with orientation studies, feasibility studies, mine planning, mine engineering. And this is all pretty much based on the topic continuous mining. So we are not a good consulting firm for shovel and truck mining. Of course, we also know that. We have our partners where we're working in, but we are a highly specialized company on continuous mining technologies, in-pit crushing, conveying technologies which are quite on vogue at the moment. And a lot of clients are asking for this. These are technologies which are, I would say, very environmental friendly. With these technologies, you have a good chance actually to reduce your carbon emissions in your mine, to reduce your carbon footprint, to reduce the dust footprint. So that these are really good technologies which are getting more and more popular right now. As the deposits are getting deeper, you need to look for new haulage ways, new haulage technologies, and to make the mine more cost efficient. And these are the technology we are consulting on. So what we're doing on offsite studies, all this type of studies we're doing to help the clients to implement things. And then on onsite, we're also doing a lot of construction supervision, mine operation, mine maintenance. For example, here we are with our team, we are quite often in the Chilean mine operation where we're working in to support the mine operators to handle their equipment actually, or to maintain their equipment. Yeah, when you see this map here, this world map, our head office, of course, is in Germany. You see the red dots are the RWTI offices. Then we have an office in Australia. We have an office in China. And then very important, the South American market here. We are very active in Brazil, obviously, with the big iron ore operations. And since nearly 2 decades, we are also very, very active in Santiago, in the Chilean market, mostly in the copper operation. And when you see that here from the name, the big companies here, Codelco, Antofagasta, BHP, Anglo American, these are all actually clients from the RWE group, which are served with our mining knowledge in that field. We are also working as subcontractors, for example, for Bechtel, these big companies who are pretty much involved also in the copper industry in the country. Yeah, just to give you a little bit insight about dust control on conveyor belts. So on conveyor belts, we pretty much identified 3 major dust sources, what you have. It's mostly the transfer stations, what you see here. These are pictures I took by myself when I was responsible for the environmental control and the dewatering of one of the biggest surface mines in Germany. Where you see roughly 45%, and these are pretty much holistic numbers we took out of the operations where we're working in. About 45% of the dust emissions is coming from transfer stations. And then we said we're always looking for the root cause. What the root cause of these dust emissions? And we said we identified the sealing of the belt stations. We said you can generate a lot of dust emission, as you can see this cloud here coming out of this transfer station, just as this station is not sealed in an efficient way. Another topic is here return strand idlers. That's number 2 root cause. Actually, the root cause is a carry back on the belt conveyor. Later on, I will tell you a little bit more about that topic here, so that you have a lot of carry back on the conveyor belt itself, which is adhering to the conveyor belt and then is rubbed off by the idlers here. So you have a lot of dust sources on the complete length of the conveyor belt. I have my colleagues actually are working in the mines in Chile. They're always wearing a face mask actually for dust protection here. And these are things which are very harmful for the environment, for the human beings actually working there. So we are always trying to avoid that, and we are involved in many international operations to optimize the dust emissions in that field. The third cause, maybe 20%, are conveyor belt pulleys actually also causing a lot of dust emissions. This picture was taken in an operation in Brazil, where we did an audit on conveyor belts, and the root cause here again was carry back on the conveyor belts so far. Yeah, and we're talking in Germany, we're talking about 2 different ways. We're talking about emission control. That's a preventive measure that you are eliminating actually the dust source, and you're talking about emission control. That's a corrective measure. So you're reducing the effect of the dust on the surrounding environment. And what we are always trying to do, and that's by far the most important and the most cheapest way to optimize your dust emissions in the operation, is the emission control itself. That's very, very important that you eliminate the dust source on the conveyor belt. When you control the dust source, you're saving a lot of money on further corrective measures you have to take. And this is the best and optimized way how to deal with your dust emissions actually. So when you see that, and there's also, as I said, a void that dust is pretty much created. If dust is created here, there was a wording, and I heard this many times, a lot of water, for example, helps a lot. And I know, especially in the Chilean operations, in the Andes Mountains, fresh water is always a problem. It's always difficult. It's very expensive, the water. This is why we're saying we are going with this low water approach into the project. We're trying to reduce a minimum amount of water with a high surface area actually to collect the dust spots. As you can see here, when you have a big drop of water, the big drop is just dropping away the dust particles. When you have very, very fine water droplets here, the water droplets are adhering to the dust particles and trying to bring the dust particles down. So that's a very, very efficient way for waterborne dust control here. As I said, one of the major dust sources are the transfer stations. That's a number 1 dust source, and that's a nice picture where we did an engineering project for one of the biggest iron ore producers in Brazil. And before we did that engineering on the transfer stations, actually, there was no real dust control. They were quite open. I always called them the bikini chutes, actually, these transfer chute. So there was no sealing, nothing. There were no fog nozzle systems. And here you can see pretty much, I took this picture here, I made that picture here, that's a pretty much optimized transfer station on conveyor belts here. When you see that, you have a nice portal, you have a proper sealed transfer station with very, very fine nozzle systems with a minimum amount of water which is used, and you have a belt, high pressure belt cleaning systems, for example. You have side sealings here, you have proper scrapers installed. And this is how it looks like actually after the engineering process. When you see engineering process here, that's a design chute, a design transfer chute here, also for hard iron ore material. And this is a chute which can be nearly dust-free, for example. You can make really dust-free chutes when you make it correctly. So we are involved in this engineering process for these companies. And what we saw there, we can reach a lot of optimization when you put a little bit work into this field or this topic actually. So as I said, the minimum amount of water is required. When you see these nozzles, one nozzle has a water consumption of, let's say, 3 to 4 liters per hour. So that's a minimum amount. We always know that water is really precious in arid zones and arid areas actually. So we are really trying to minimize the amount of water here. That's another topic. One of the major topics is carryback actually on the conveyor belt. When you see, these are pictures I took from our own operations here. When you see this long distance conveyor in one of the major mining companies, and you see this diffuse dust which is coming out of the conveyor belt, and how this is created. What's the dust source? The dust source is actually when you see the material flow here, the material is running off the belt, then you have still a little bit material which is scraped off by the primary scraper. It's tried to scrape off by the secondary or tertiary scraper. But most of the scraper are actually not able to clean the conveyor in a proper way. You still have 0.1 to 0.3 millimeters of carryback material still adhering to the conveyor belt. And this material pretty much is rubbed off by every return strand idlers on the conveyor, on the full conveyor length. When you see it, sometimes tunnel conveyors, when you see huge conveyor installations in the Andes, you just see this long fleck of dust actually coming out of the system, out of the conveyor strand. And these are things which can be further optimized actually to reduce dust emissions to absolute minimum. One topic here is a thing we invented within RWE. That's a so-called high pressure belt cleaning system. So that's a high pressure cleaning system which cleans the conveyor, the rubber of the conveyor belt actually to nearly 100%, that all the adhering carryback material which is adhering to the belt conveyor is cleaned off by a very, very sharp water blade from the conveyor. It doesn't matter, it does not harm the conveyor, it doesn't matter how the structure of the conveyor is, if the conveyor is worn out or whatever, it doesn't care, as this sharp water blade is very, very flexible. And we made very, very good results here on cleaning the conveyors and really avoiding major dust emissions in that field. Yeah, coming to the actual topic, remote inspections. And again, here, that's another picture. I really like to use this aerial photographies here. That's another picture from the Hambach mine. Actually, as I said, we on the first pages, we looked from this side. Now we are looking from the other side. And as I said, this one of the major mine operation with installed 130 kilometers of conveyor belts here. You can see the conveyor belt distribution point for the complete material haulage and material flexibility. And so you can imagine we spend a lot of work in optimizing all the conveyors here to an absolute minimum. The conveyors are running with 7.5 meters per second with a conveying capacity of 38,000 tons per hour. So these are really large scale conveyors and quite expensive conveyors. And that was a major task to keep them running all the day. Yeah, coming to the topic, we did a lot of remote inspections already. a lot of inspection tours here all over the world, more or less. Here are some pictures from clients worldwide, either Mozambique or here South America. Mostly we did this in Brazil, actually. So we are also doing a lot of audits, inspections in Chile, but these are normal inspections until now, as we have people on the ground in Chile. But due to the global pandemic crisis, we were actually not able to bring people on the ground, for example, in South America. That was very, very difficult to bring people to Brazil. And this is why, and the client needed that help actually from our side. And we told the client, yes, we will definitely help you. We'll try to look for a solution how to help you. And this is why we we were choosing the remote inspection technologies where we worked in. So normally the way how to optimize a conveyor is a three-step approach. Normally we're starting with this inspection. Normally that's an on-site inspection where our people are going into the mine and optimizing the operation. Then we have an engineering optimization phase together with the client where we're further optimizing all the equipment and everything. And then also, if required, we also have a training phase of the people to train the employees in a good way how to have an optimized dust emission control. Here we have an example project that's a macro orientation. That's a project in Brazil, actually, the big iron ore operation. It's a huge iron ore operation, 90 million tons per year, using also a lot of conveyor belts here. And that's a client since many years from RWE. Maybe to show you this micro orientation here we have a major iron ore operation. That's a mine. Then here we have a conveyor belt distribution point. And here we have about 12-kilometer long distance conveyor going here to this usina, to this process center, process sieving, screening facilities here, intermediate stockpile, and then we have a train load out from where the material is transported about 850 kilometers to the major harbor in Brazil. So that was one of the clients where we did this inspection. The client asked us to go to Brazil, and we said, no, we can't go due to this pandemic. It's not possible at the moment. The risk for the employees is too high. And this is why we said, let's try to get these smart glasses into the country and to test, to have a real approach with a remote inspection here. And here, that's an example. We use the technology here from, let's say, from RealWear. Or we were supposed to use that technology. Actually, that's a smart glasses which can be attached to the helmet. That's actually a system which has a high definition camera here. Then you have a transmitting device. Then you have a head-up display. The head-up display where the picture from for example, the German office is also shown, and where we also can give him instructions. And then there's a headset that we can also talk to the people. And the funny thing, this is then done by the client itself, and the engineers from our side, they are in an office in Germany, 8,500 kilometers away, far away, doing actually that remote inspections. But we are giving the people then in Brazil instruction where they have to go, where they have to look into, just to get the right information from them. And this is quite convenient tool. Of course, it's very, very important that you get a good 4G or maybe in the future 5G or industrial Wi-Fi connection, that you have a good data transfer between the client and between the home office in Germany, just to get a good understanding of the data. How does that work to do a kind of a remote inspection? First of all, we have a hotspot identification where we are looking for hotspots, identifying hotspots together with the client, where the client is telling us where the client already has problems. Then we are asking for the right documents. that we are getting the right technical documents, that we can actually also follow the information which are given then during the inspection tour. Then we are defining together with the client the inspection route, that we exactly know where we need to go together with the client. That's very, very important because later on you're missing this orientation, actually, what you normally have. When you're in the mine, you have a good overview, you can look everywhere in every direction. This is not possible when you have the smart glasses. So it's very, very important that you have a good orientation of the route and know where you are. And then the actual inspection tour is done with the people, with one guy having this headset, this smart glasses on the helmet actually. And then sometimes also very useful that you have an alternative to the smart glass, mostly GoPro with high quality 4K or H definition pictures, where the GoPro is actually also on the helmet and he's filming all the situation around. And later this data can be also transferred, that you have a good chance actually to see what has been inspected actually during the inspection tour here. Yeah, here we can see it. That's an example from a conveyor distribution point. That's maybe this spot in the mine, just to give you an orientation here. This spot here, we have this mine here, and then we have a small conveyor belt distribution point, but that's already a quite complex distribution point, and we had to do an audit on this conveyor point. And here you can see the red dots where we said, please client, that was the identification of the hotspots together with the client. And this is where we actually tried to get some more detailed information about the topic and to identify the problems which are there. Obviously, when you're an experienced operator with conveyor belts, you already know where the problems are on the conveyor belts. And this is why we also told the client that we would like to look into certain hotspots where we can imagine certain problems. And this is what the client does. And this is where we got all the pictures from. Here, that's a picture. We used MS Teams in this inspection tour for communication. When you see that, I just start the video here. So as you see, sometimes when you have a bad reception, you don't see that much. So it's very, very hard. Can you identify any problems here? It's very, very difficult actually. It's just sometimes the low resolution pictures what you get from this remote inspection is just for having a certain orientation where you are currently looking at. That's another picture. And you hear a voice, but actually the whole picture is completely frozen. So you don't see, you just hear the voice. You can have a rough orientation, but you can't see any details here because due to the bad reception, actually the picture is frozen. Actually. And what did we do? As I said, it's very, very important that the client also is using a GoPro, a 4K system or high definition system, which is also included in the camera, but we use an external GoPro camera here. And then in the evening, we always downloaded the data. That was gigabyte of data actually coming from the client, and we tried to check the data for inspections. And here, when you see that, that's a much better picture. This is where you can identify the problems. Here you can directly see the problems. That a lot of lumps are brought into the drive pulley here. Another problem, that's the same situation just from one side, where you can see a massive offload from the conveyor belt, which hasn't been inspected by the client itself, but that's something we saw actually just by using this GoPro. Sometimes we even used a drone. So the client was also using a high definition drone. That was a live view actually, or that's sorry, not live, but it was a recording from the inspection route here, where they use the drone just to identify the dust problems on the conveyor belts here. And here you can see very clearly a lot of carryback here, a lot of offloading of material. And these are the things which are really creating a lot of dust emissions in the operations, pretty much. So, yeah, so that's so far the overview about the remote inspection, just giving you a summary about that presentation. RWE actually is a highly specialized consulting firm for continuous mining and IPCC input crushing conveying project with vast experience in maintaining conveyor systems and also optimizing the emission controls and emission control measures actually. So good preparation is very, very essential for proper remote inspection, a structural approach with good customer preparation. That's very, very important that you really prepare that presentation in a very, very good way. It's very essential that you have a good 4G connection or industrial Wi-Fi for stable communication. That's actually desirable, not always possible. Depending on the situation where you are, on the spot where you are. So this is why we're also using this GoPro cameras for further assistance. Then high quality or 4K pictures for detailed inspection report are also required. And MS Teams and GoPro can be a good alternative also, or in combination with smart glasses. So for this inspection route, that can be a good way actually to have good communication between consultant and client. So at the end of the day, we can say after we have done this now since a couple of time, effective remote inspections in mining are possible and can be a good alternative actually to normal inspections. Of course, we prefer the normal inspections as you get a better overview, but in this very difficult situation like pandemic times, whatever, that can be a good way to help the clients to solve their problems at the end of the day. Yeah, that was the result. Thank you very much for joining that presentation. So I'm happy to answer your questions afterwards.
Muy buena presentación, gracias. Thank you very much. It's a very good, it's very interesting your presentation. So let me see if someone is going to be asked something. Vamos, ¿hay alguna pregunta que queramos hacer a nuestro invitado? Por acá tenía una pregunta, la voy a hacer en español y te pediría, Philip, si tú puedes traducirla, ¿ok?
Sorry, what was that?
Pregunta relacionada con ¿cuál es el tipo de material que más experiencia tienen ustedes? Entendí que carbón o algo así. ¿Y qué pasa con otro tipo de materiales? ¿Cómo se comporta otros tipos de material y distintos tipos de granulometrías en el tema de la supresión de polvo?
I'm sorry, you have to speak a lot slower for me to understand you for that.
Understand? Okay. No. What kind of materials are you testing in the transportation? And I mean the bulk material, I understood that probably was coal or something like that.
It's nearly everything. It's coal. I mean, we're coming from the coal business, but nowadays we are mostly doing iron ore and copper ore, for example. But we are also involved, for example, in grain facilities, grain, soya beans, whatever. Also, our clients are asking us to optimize the grain facilities. But in majority, the major clients are iron ore companies and copper companies nowadays.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we are talking about the ores in terms of the specific granulometry. I mean, the size of the particle size. But
the particle size, yeah, it's also all the sizes. It can be primary crushed ore, let's say between 300 and 400 millimeter primary crushed. but also secondary or tertiary crushed ore, small material. And as I said, also we're working in the grain facilities, and the grain, soya beans, these are very small particles. So from large to small particles, but also when you handle this primary crushed ore, of course, you also have a lot of fine material in the material stream.
Yeah, but the investment for some equipment to prevent the dust is different depending of the, I think, it's depending on the particle size.
No, actually not. Actually
No?
not. So it's the transfer station. It's different because depending on the material you're conveying, you have a different setup of the transfer station. But the sealing, and that's very important for the dust control, the sealing of the transfer station, that's a very, very important thing. And there are no major differences, actually, I would say.
Okay. We have another question here. That can you do something similar for primary crushers?
Yes, we can. Yes, we have done, for example, we have done for one of the major mining companies, major copper companies in Chile. We just did an audit on a major crushing facility. We can also do that for crushers as well. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And the other question from Jorge Yoma is, who is the contact in Chile?
The contact.
You have an office here?
Yes, we have an office in Vitacura, and just Philip is sharing this information. His name is Tilman Kremer. Tilman Kremer, he speaks perfectly Spanish. And I guess in the worst case, Denise Kirchner also has the contact details from Tilman Kremer and our contact details as well, that we will find a way how to communicate here.
Okay.
He's, as I said, Tilman is based in Santiago here in Vitacura with his office. He has a Chilean telephone number, so you can reach him all the day, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Estimados colegas, ¿alguna otra consulta al respecto? Pueden hacerla por, digamos, hablando nomás, no es necesario que lo hagan en el chat. Es más rápido. Parece que aparentemente quedó muy clara la presentación de nuestro colega Eri. Ok, ¿algo más tienes que decir? Denise, algo especial?
Algo especial, ¿no? O sea, estoy viendo también en el chat si llega algo. Veo que ya Philip compartió el contacto de Tilman Crema también, así que ahí está el correo y el teléfono. Pero obviamente también atenta si hay más preguntas o si también más adelante o si después tienen preguntas que quieren hacer a los colegas, como que feliz, ahí estamos atentos para pasarlas y para responderlas.
Ok, perfecto. Bien, colegas.
Pero también, o sea, si tienen alguna pregunta ahora mismo y prefieren hacerla en español, como que feliz también ayudo con la traducción.
Aquí hay una pregunta que apareció, dice, what is the cost?
Of these services, you mean?
Pardon me?
The cost of these services, yes. Consulting services, you mean?
Probably
yes,
the investment, yeah?
That pretty much depends. I mean, it can be a very low budget approach. Of course, we are not low budget engineers. We also have our prices, but that needs to be discussed. I mean, we are always finding a solution with our clients. Actually, it pretty much depends how important is emission control for you. And emission control is a very severe topic, especially as a health issue, and avoiding dust emission is very, very important. And for example, one client of us, he's operating a very large port, and the authorities were actually closing this port for 3 days as the client has so much dust emission, and that costs the client millions of US dollars every day when the port was closed. And there it's just a little drop of water actually which can solve a lot of problems here. And therefore, I think these either the consulting service or the optimized measures are not that expensive, I would say.
Yeah, they mean the operating cost for the remote inspection, not only the equipment, it's for the service of remote inspection.
Yeah, also the service. I mean, as I said, we are serving the Chilean market since many years, since more than 20 years already, and we are well known in the market actually with the big mining companies, and we have a lot of jobs optimizing conveyor belts, and I'm pretty sure that we find a good solution how to do such an optimization. But just giving you now a price, how much it costs, it pretty much depends on the size of the operation, on the length of the conveyors. It's really hard just to give you a rough number here. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
As always, it depends. So, yeah.
Fredo ask, what kind of solution do you offer?
We are offering, we are offering consulting services. We are giving you an independent view on your conveyors. We are optimizing conveyors. We're showing you ways how to optimize your facilities. And these are the solutions we offer. We can offer mostly technical solutions, how to optimize your conveyor belts. And these are actually good ways, proven ways actually, which are workable, how to solve your dust problems in a very, very short time frame actually.
Okay.
So I understand that you provide engineering solutions, not construction, or I understood that you provide only engineering solutions, design.
Exactly, yes, just engineering. We do not offer actually equipment. As I said in the beginning, we do offer certain highly specialized equipment for the Chilean copper mines, which are manufactured in our main workshop in Germany. These are highly specialized solutions for the Chilean copper industry. For example, that's not a secret. That was also in the media and in LinkedIn, everything, that we are serving Minera Los Pelambres for the downhill conveyors, for the high strength conveyors. All the drive pulleys are coming from RWE, from our company, as these are high strength pulleys. So these are very specialized products which are coming there from Germany. But mostly as consultant, as we are just offering engineering services and no products. The products then coming from the daughter company RWE Group, pretty much.
Okay, thanks. I understand.
Okay, another question here is, do you have the option of fix some cameras for remote inspection to avoid the site visit?
Actually, we don't have experience with fixed cameras. Mostly the cameras are then installed on the helmets of the operational people, which are on the sites in the operations, and they're our extended eye, you could say. With fixed cameras, it's sometimes difficult because you always have to look into the details. So you have to try to look into the details. So it's much more handy to have cameras then on the helmet, that you're flexible. You can tell the people where they should look at or should look into, and that you get more detailed pictures. For the fixed cameras, it's sometimes very good just to get a broad overview, for example.
Okay. Anyone else? ¿Alguien más? ¿Tiene alguna pregunta? A ver, bien, intentando ver aquí en el chat, no tengo más. ¿Hay más, parece? Bien, creo que la gente, los presentes quedaron bastante claros con lo que la compañía de ustedes nos puede ofrecer a los clientes mineros. Y ya tenemos las coordenadas para que puedan contactarse ustedes con ellos. I think the audience here is quite clear with the solutions you present, and they have all the contacts they need for user contact, for question or for some other service that they want to know. So I think this is everything for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure from my side.
Yes, we know that in Germany it's a little bit late. It's almost 11 p.m. So it has been a hard journey for you both. So again, thank you very much, and please feel free to contact us if you want to ask to contact with someone. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Thanks a lot for the
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank
Have
you.
a nice evening, everybody.
Bye bye. Chao, colegas. Que estén bien.
Gracias, que esté muy bien.
Cuídense.
Adiós.
Gracias.
Chao.
Gracias.
Gracias, Roberto.
Chao.